So today I have the honor of welcoming Rachel Rickards as my guest, and I'm really happy to have you here, Rachel. You are a great inspiration for me in being an amazing teacher and facilitator and space holder. And I think what touches me the most about you is your ability to really lead with like this raw, honest authenticity that is very rare. And it just, it opens something in the space that is, oh, so beautiful. And I hope that I can give people just a slight taste of that in you uh, during our conversation. You are the co-creator of Embodied Intimacy. You are holding the field training that you have created, and you are also facilitating belly to belly and passing that on to the world as a sacred gift that you received from David Cates. And today I think we're gonna talk about a lot about what you're doing as a with your field training and as a space holding and the way that you facilitate. But let's see where this takes us. What I'm really curious about is like where your passion lies and how your soul have kind of pushed you in your life to where you are today.
Mm, mm. Oh, that's so juicy. Ah, thank you, Timian. It's really a pleasure to be here with you, and I feel a little nervous, but also really safe, and just grateful to have this time with you.
Mm, thank you.
Mm.
And I just want to say that I trust you so deeply. And that trust comes from knowing that you dare to be vulnerable and honest and that you show up, yeah, in this very real way. Yeah.
Ah, mm, mm. I'm super touched by your tears. Thank you. It's also making me a little bit emotional. Thank you for seeing me and appreciating the parts of me that are still sometimes hard to hard to love or see.
Yeah. So, do you want to share what drives you in your work and why you do what you do?
mm. Yeah, I imagine there's so many different ways to answer this and so many different answers that I could share, and we'll just see what comes. I mean, the first answer that comes of what drives me is um shares like you just shared, like um feeling the impact that I have and have had um through like daring to just be more revealed and exposed and myself, and daring, like in the daringness something is emerging, and there is a meeting point and a touchness and an exchange that happens in that, and what drives me is those reflections back that I get, and the way that it touches the world and the way that I continue to be transformed by the possibilities that we co-create together. That's kind of one layer, and I say that because without that, I don't know that I would have had the motivation to continue, because facilitating is so confronting, and it's really like a the the most intense personal development journey and path that I know of. It's just like, it hasn't plateaued yet for me. It just continues to, yeah, I continue to find new places and new parts and new shadows and new areas I want to work on, and new layers and levels of consciousness that I want to attain to. So it's this, yeah, and in that it's also challenging to take that responsibility for myself and my journey, and for the people who say yes to the spaces that I'm opening. Um, but ultimately is like the why is, yeah, there's, when I'm in a group, when I'm in a room of people, and um we're being, but especially like anything emotional or physical or embodied or like process, when we're in those places, I get this like piece of this, yeah, this is how it's supposed to be, of just like when we're all in a room dancing, or when everyone's in a room crying, or just like there are these moments of just like, yeah, we're supposed to be here together. Like, this is how this works. This human life, tribal thing, like where we need one another. And there's just these moments of peace and gratitude and pure perfection that happen when I'm in a room and I look around, and we're there together, feeling, being, allowing. Like those moments are just, they're the moments of life where things to me just feel, it's all even if it's like, even when it's like, oh, this is so hard and it's so uncomfortable, like even then it's like, but we're together and we're doing this, and this is exactly what's supposed to be happening.
Mm. Yeah. And what the word that stood out for me was allowing.
Mm.
That's what you are really good at. You're good at allowing whatever wants to unfold in the room and to hold it. Yeah. Uh, how is it possible to hold all of that? Because when you allow anything to arise, it will.
Yeah, how is it possible? I think that it just is. It's like, um it's this incredible trust in the universe. It's this incredible trust in what's true and real. Um and I just trust that. It hasn't ever led somewhere that wasn't better than the moment before. Every next moment that I trust what's happening and I lean into it unquestionably and undoubtedly, and just say, yes, whatever happens next is better than that moment. The challenge is the moments when I'm saying no. Those are really when things start to get a little bit crunchy and, yeah, jaggedy. Um, so yeah, there's a a conviction, a commitment to allowing what wants to happen, and being, um, to continuing to expand my capacity to hold more of the human experience and the spiritual experience and the experience of what wants to happen.
Yeah. Before we started, you were sharing some of your motivations to start the field training of teaching others about this way of facilitating that you are doing.
Mm.
Would you like to share some of that with the listeners?
Yeah, I'll speak into a little bit. I think, yeah, it can be good. Even now, something different comes. Yeah. The field is um, a more feminine style approach to facilitation than I think most people imagine facilitation to be. And I think, you know, there's a there's a particular kind of penetration that is required for facilitation. And I would say that there's a majority of people who, like you're facilitating an experience from an idea, and there's a goal to take people to this place. And for this, and I still facilitate this way sometimes. Like there's nothing wrong or bad or a, about it, to say that there's like a direction. And in this way you could have a plan, an outline. That's the way some of the most beautiful transformational spaces come to be. Is there's a premeditation to the way that a learning or transformational journey that can happen. And I think over time, what happened in my facilitation, in embodied intimacy, was noticing that, um, like that there was a listening that was also equally important, and that there was a present moment dance and dialogue that I could be in with the group, where I could, take them in and allow that receptivity to touch me, and allow myself to dance with the way that I feel the group, or the way that the group shares with me where they're at, or where we're going. And um so the field is a style of facilitation that is equally, not only, but equally as feminine and receptive as it is, you know, penetrative and masculine and holding. Um, and that isn't to say that like you shouldn't have any agenda or ideas, and you should just be in like any extreme, obviously, is where, but it's about finding the balance and the marriage between both the listening and the doing, the being and the moving. And it's a style of facilitation that I also find, and that's what is also so fascinating to me right now in so many different areas of group spaces, like group transformational spaces, from like circle work to intimacy and relating to sacred sexuality to, um, plant medicine to, like in all of these areas we can find these same tones or frequencies or styles. And so I really set out this in this training to start to capture, what it is that we're doing, that this style of facilitation is doing, and how that can start to be teachable and learnable, by people, because I don't think there's anything like that has been before. Even though many people have been doing this, it's been like an invisible or an unnameable. And I really wanted for myself to learn and to study this deeper. And so I said, you know all right, like I'm going to create the space I want to see in the world, and here it is. And now we're going to go into a deep dive and study this, this together, and set a new standard also at the same time for what group facilitation is and can be, and where we're at in our developmental journey as beings, where we've grown into, and what the new ethical and training standards are in group facilitation. And let's start to be in an active dialogue with that, not as like, okay, here's the new standards and now they're set, but like that is going to be evolving every day and every month and every year. There'll be you know a new awareness that we inhabit together in what's possible.
Ah, it's beautiful. I can really feel like the expansion and the how the energy is moving into new unknown territory with that.
Mm.
Hmm. And I love the picture of the masculine and the feminine way of holding the space and facilitating.
Mm.
Yeah, this is really the new way in life, in all areas of life, to have both and have them, working well and being flexible between them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. And I will say, just from being in your presence, I can really feel that this learning to listen deeper into the space and what's alive have changed my way of facilitating completely. And I haven't even done the field training, but it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things I find that you can't unsee. It's one of those, like, once you've been in a space that's been held like that, the word one of the big words of this is attunement. It's like that there, you know, I can get myself, and it's my own also style, frustrated when I feel that the person who is at the front has an agenda and they're just on a trajectory, and like I don't matter. And so there is, what is a part of this is this attunement, and the attunement to the space, the attunement to the beings in the space, the attunement to myself and the participants attuning to me and me attuning to them, and us just coming into a shared vibration, a shared frequency, or at least an awareness of what is, even if we aren't in a shared space. But usually when people get a taste of this, especially if it's something that feels good, it's like, okay, I want more of that. There's something different here.
Yeah. Yeah, and this attunement is what makes me tell people about your training, as for me this is true tantra.
Mm.
This is taking tantra out of tantra, but this is what it's about. It's about relating in that attuned way with anything in life.
Yeah.
And listening deeply into anything, and just, trying to allow life instead of directing it and control it. And because when we do that, we always make it smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bingo. I think that's like what comes next after that is the love of the mystery of, like, yeah, when we are in that control of, like, having our own separate uh, uh, scripts, or our own separate plays, or our own separate movies that we're running of how we think life should be, or how we want life should be, or how we want our partner to show up, or how parenting is supposed to look like. Like, life gets small. It gets defined to only that which we can imagine. And so this for me is like expanding the range, expanding the box of possibility to say, like, I believe that more can happen than even my wildest dreams. And I want to open up the space for that full spectrum of whatever wants or could happen here to have space to be able to happen. I don't want to live in an isolated, predefined box of my own limited ideas. I want to be in a bigger possibility. Um, yeah. And so what's required for that is to constantly attune to what's true, rather than, be in an isolated idea and a binary or a black and white world of what life should look like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to hear your reflections upon the attunement between the personality and our soul.
Mm, nice. Can you say it one more time? My reflection on.
On the attunement between our personality, or our human self, and
Yeah,
then our soul.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, what comes when you share that is this the like the delight of the place that opens is a when there isn't a separation between personality and soul, when they are one in the same, when the soul is able to be expressed through the personality and the personality is connected to the soul, you know? And there is a place where they are very separate things, where there's like a personality that has, and I think it comes from this like idea of what I want and how life should be versus the soul, which just is. And as we've been speaking about, um, and I think there is a piece in this which also relates to me with the attunement, which is embodiment, and the embodiment relates to like being in that fully connected, um, full connection to the divine, to my soul, and being in um, the freedom, and the ability to just allow that to be expressed. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful way of kind of connecting a lot of the threads that I've just been speaking into.
Yes. And I completely agree with you that the embodiment is the bridge between the separation and the different parts. Uh, yeah, it's beautiful. And that's both the embodiment and the attunement and the listening is such a great part of what you're offering. Yeah. Ah. Would you like to tie a knot with belly to belly where that comes in uh, to the embodiment and the attunement?
Yeah. Well, so belly to belly, for anyone who doesn't know, is a relational, breathing meditation that is that can be done alone, but its most ideal version is in some kind of physical connection, either to yourself, but even more ideally, like building into connecting with another person. And there are so many dimensions that go into this practice, and some of which are like um, neurobiology and the ability to self and co-regulate the nervous system, and like attachment styles and neuroception and mm, yeah, like even hypnosis or hypnotherapy could be an aspect. And belly to belly was one of my first loves of group transformation and facilitation. And I feel so blessed and really like lucky to say that I got to bump into David Cates at the perfect time to be highly trained in this modality through my own personal development, through my own experience of becoming. And what's lucky about that is at such an early stage, even before, like I never even really wanted to be a facilitator. That was not in any way something that I was interested in for myself. I was a event producer. That was my degree and my first love and my career, and where I thought it would all end, which is just me behind the scenes, but not really stepping on stage in any way. So belly to belly being my initiation, what it gave me the down regulation and the softening. And I started out with nervous system reset, which honestly I think is how everyone should start. I think we all just being human beings. I mean, I love this awareness. Like anyone with a nervous system has experienced trauma. If you have we all have different degrees of how that shows up and what that looks like in our own history, whether it's a big T or little t. But we all have some element of trauma, and to just start like blasting down, like descending down, going down and in, to just like reset and realign and to then emerge from that deepening was the greatest gift for me. And I think it would be for so many people. And through that, there's this quote, enlightenment is the relaxation of all tension or something, is like what enlightenment is really just tension ceasing to exist, that softening and that opening, that allowing is. And so to start there is the prime ingredient for soul emergence. When I'm holding a belly to belly, when I guide a group into belly to belly, and we like really go down that closing circles that you've been a part of so many times, like the way that people's faces look, the sound and the frequency of their voice, the place where they speak from, it's like there's such a particular frequency of gratitude and love and trust and awe and wonder, and also sometimes like just deep grief and sadness, but this like it's like I'm here and I'm experiencing it all and I'm feeling it and I'm seeing it, and it's just like it is the prime it is the prime conditions for soul to emerge, and it is through that full relaxation of any tension in the body where that gets to.
Yeah, I really feel like when you're talking about it, and from my own experience, this is how, I mean, without this, embodiment is almost impossible because you need the nervous system to calm down for you to come down into your body and
Yeah.
embody it fully.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's what's so perfect for me in my own like trajectory of becoming a facilitator, that I think like that amount of relaxation is what it was going to take for me to have the courage to step on stage and say anything. And it worked, it's like, yeah, it's such a gift. So yeah, it's like the 101 of for me of really like real intimacy, of getting to see. And that intimacy is like, I want to see your soul. Like I want to feel what's behind the personality that has been crafted or created, or out of all of these years and experiences in life. And I want to see, like, I want to feel what's behind the mask. And this practice is one of the most pristine, gorgeous ways of getting there together.
Ah,
Ah, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so just one last thing I would like to touch upon is that you are talking a lot about doing it together.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know it's something that you are very passionate about, is community in any form.
Mm.
Do you have anything you want to share about that?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. I also see now, after all of the spaces and the community experiences, there was a time when I was really when I would have said, and I still believe and I still say this, like, this is the way we are supposed to be. This is the way we're designed to be tribal beings. And, and whilst I believe that, I still see how far from that we've drifted, and how that tribal nature that we hold is actually way less familiar and comfortable and natural to us than this separated, isolated individuality and couple bubble, like, everything that separates us, like that is normal now. So so whilst I might have imagined that us coming together would be more comfortable and easy, the more I do this, the more I see how foreign it actually is. And the more it's like, it's no longer, I mean, it is and it isn't, um, like in the muscle memory of who we are as human beings. It feels like something we have to retrain now and remember. And I just feel the faster, and I mean, even just in the 10 years that I've been doing this, like, life has taken us light years further apart and into our minds and into, computers and screens and isolation. I mean, just the last few years of COVID and all the separation of that, it becomes this, like, it is harder and harder to remember that muscle memory of what would have been like breathing, what would have been like, you know, effortless. And it becomes more and more foreign. So yeah, for me, the power of community is the power of healing. Yeah, it's like our original state, I think, is communal and tribal, and the healing that is possible there is natural and effortless compared to what we're enduring right now as separate, isolated entities and beings. Um, and the embodiment that we're offering in these spaces is just new forms of remembering what's possible, like the wisdom that lives in our bones and our DNA. And yeah, I feel simultaneously inspired and called, and also like sad and hopeless, and you know um yeah. So it even, like, my greatest expression would be like living together in community, and I see how even that now feels even further from a possibility than of us simply gathering and doing deep transformational work together. The living together and safety and security, and all the the mountains of preference and needs, and that have just created these isolated towers is kind of humbling me these days.
Mm. Yeah, I can I can really relate to that. I've spent my whole life looking for community, thinking it was a village of like-minded people and somewhere I was going to live and raise my kids, and it just never happened. I never found that place. And listening to you talking, I get the sense that, yeah, maybe we are right now, what we're supposed to do is to experience the, going between the isolation and being on our own and the gifts that are in that, and then being able to choose community and togetherness, but from a new place, like the places that you're creating, it's so nourishing. And if that could be a new standard of how we are together and how we come together to create, to work, to celebrate, whatever we come together around, but if this is the quality, it is so nourishing that when we are then on our own, we're so filled with this that we will bring that into whatever we're doing. And there's something beautiful about that dance between the togetherness and the being on your own. And and I believe we're here to experience something unique on this planet, and maybe that uniqueness is that we can be all of that. Um, I don't know, but I feel kind of excited about that the both of the opportunities.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you in that. Um, it's a little bit of like the further along we go, not coming together in this way, and I mean more in like the village living together, the harder it becomes because we're also like it's like so much right now our awareness and the way that consciousness is expanding and what we're becoming aware of that that choosing to come together um would require such a different platform and center that has never happened before. You know what I mean? Like for example, when we lived in villages, when we were in these tribal communities, like trauma wasn't even really understood in the way it is today. So when we talk about creating a trauma informed culture, it looks different than any culture that has ever existed. So it's something that is so new and would take such a devotion and such a deep commitment to growing that it feels almost impossible. I'm very much connected to the impossibility and the trust and the knowing that, but if a group of beings believes and leans in enough, it will find its way. It will happen. And it is just about getting there. But it's like just the rate at which we are learning and information is exchanged and things are changing, and like it's incredible. It is absolutely incredible right now. I'm in awe. And what is going to keep holding it all together is these spaces and our devotion to coming back to simplicity and just taking another breath together and holding one another and grief and crying and allow like these simple basic human connection elements is what's going to keep this web together.
Mm, yeah. And then we need to take those tools of the deep listening and attunement and turn them into the way we are connecting with our surroundings and the earth, and in the way we're creating the new way of life. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It has to pervade everything. It has to sink in and drip in to everything.
Yeah. And I see you planting seeds. I see other people planting all these seeds, and they're being watered and nourished every time we come together.
Yes.
And I kind of hope it's like these plants that grows like crazy when they start growing. It's just like
Yeah.
ah,
Yeah. 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 I also, and I think they will. I
yeah.
think they will.
Mm,
I think we're in a very special time right now. This year for me has been all about reconfiguration, reconfiguring. It feels like the all the little pins and needles are dropping in new spaces and then brrr, and something's realigning and I can feel this like reconfiguration of everything that is feeding right now. There's something new we're getting ready to build upon, and I'm not clear what that is yet, but I can feel the getting ready for it together.
Hmm. Yeah. Ah, getting ready for it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. Is there anything you want to add as your final thing that you want to drop here? Do you feel complete?
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's just another layer of connecting some more of these pieces that we have been between soul and personality and doing and being and masculine and feminine and what's possible. And it's like, hmm, what I'm really in devotion of right now with the field is the possibility of being able to listen to the group soul, like the frequency of what's coming through this collection of bodies that make one organism in this time. And there's such a subtle and significant reshifting and focus from, again, this like linear structure, like goal oriented mindset that is so much of our culture and our space. And and what I see, um more and more is um, that which, like, the frequency of initiation, the frequency of the creation of the being or beings holding is really the vibration that is um, mm, being manifested into form through us. And so I'm really curious about what happens as we continue to train this skill of listening, of being in soul, being in the frequency of soul and radiating from that place, which naturally calls the other soul frequency. Like, it naturally, when I'm connected to my soul essence and I am vibrating and radiating from that point, it naturally calls that through the group field. And we are then meeting in that frequency. When I am in my personality and my mask or my ideas, I that is the reflection that I get. It's it's very simple in this way. And so, yeah, there's something new that's coming through the group soul of our collective consciousness that is very embedded in the earth, that is very embedded in the elements, that is very embedded in this divinity that we find ourselves in. Um, yeah, and it is this constant remembering and taking responsibility for, and this commitment to leading from that which I want to see in the world. So from being the frequency of what I am calling forth in the group.
Mm. Yes. Mm. Ah, hey, what a perfect way to end this.
Mm.
Mm. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you so much, Timian, for opening up this space and, yeah, inviting me and going on this adventure together.
Mm. Yeah, thank you. And if people want to connect with you or work with you, I will put your links with the podcast.
Amazing. Thank you.